All right, guys. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton-Sehon. I am with Swiftfire. Super freaking excited because I have two of my guests that I've had on before back again. First of all, Laura Eisenhower, and also David Rodriquez. And since then, there has been a lot of shifting and changes that have gone on, guys. And so I'm really looking forward to us chatting about those changes. And more importantly, to try to figure out as a collective and as individuals, what in God's name can we possibly be doing as individuals and as a collective in the middle of what's happening right now throughout the world, so we can like stay sane and sovereign and be in our best during this situation to shift to the best way that we can. So first of all, thanks again for being here with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes. And I would love for you to sometime at some point to definitely plug your show, because I know you guys have started a new show since I talked to you last. And I know that Laura's book just launched today too, which I just ordered. So I'm super stoked and I can't wait to get it, hopefully before I go out of town so I can take it with me to the beach. But so first question, well, first observation, I should say, last time I talked to you, David, you were like, I think on your second or third interview ever, as far as this type of audience. And you were like, this is my last interview. I'm just doing this one time. I'm never doing this again. I just want to get back to boxing and la, la, la. And I knew that was not going to happen.
I know.
And apparently, Source had other ideas for you, and you felt it and connected with it. And I heard, because I've been following you guys, I'm a bit of a stalker. Of course, you know, I love both of you, but I'm also a big girlfriend. And I saw, even when you were talking to Cyrus and some other people, that you were saying, you know, when you were in the ring, how like there was no time, and it was just like you were just in that moment, and it was just the best feeling ever. And I'm sure Laura can vouch, because that's how I feel when I'm doing this, and or you know, working with clients or any type of teaching. And it sounds like you got bit by that little awesome I guess truth bug, where you find your little niche of like, maybe, you know, this is where I feel it too. And you even said like, this is the only other thing that I actually feel like purposeful, and like I lose time and it's not even feeling like a job. And so super stoked to see you out there in the public and continuing to just live your truth and speak your truth. And my God, you're a natural with all of this. I mean, Laura is literally probably my favorite that person that I listen to, because she just flows. She doesn't do notes. I mean, everything is so authentic, and there's such a vibe to that authenticity, and you carry that same thing. And it's just, I know that that's what keeps bringing people back, and just helping people connect to some level of like synchronicity of what authenticity is and what truth is, and it helps like raise people up. So tell us a little bit about that transition to you realizing like, okay, this is it.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. Like, yeah, I was going to just completely walk away from all this because it was such a dark issue that I brought to light. You know, I kind of hit the wasp nest, and it freaked me out when I made that viral video. So obviously, naturally, I wanted to just kind of repel away from it or hide away from it. But I prayed about it long enough, and I just felt like it was probably for a purpose, and it was best I embrace it. For whatever reasons, I needed to embrace it. And it kind of morphed into other issues. You know, I'm very good. I'm politically savvy. I understand what's going on in the with global economics, the political spectrum of things, global political spectrum of things. And why not embrace all of it at once? So I just decided to go ahead and go full throttle on all of it. And my Instagram has been growing. I mean, since I talked to you, I was probably at 20-something thousand. Now I'm at almost 100,000. You know, it's crazy how fast this is all taken off for me. And it's been a crazy ride. I like I told you before, I never would have expected this. This was not intentional. I didn't have any motives. So when this all took off for me, I'm just like, wow, that's neat. Like, didn't expect it, and I'm just enjoying it. That's really all I can say. I'm just enjoying it, and I love to get my 2 cents. And it's definitely a different outlet now from what I was used to. The boxing ring, the lights, the camera, now this is a different purpose. And what's life without purpose? You gotta have purpose, you know. So during this quarantine, what else should I really be doing right now? There's nothing really else to do. So this has taken a lot of my time, has consumed a lot of my time, and I'm fortunate and I'm blessed. And I thank God that I kind of fell into this, and that I partnered up with Laura Eisenhower, and we meshed together really well. We vibed, and we created Dark to Light show, and that's been amazing too. So my life went off into this amazing direction, and I have the quarantine to thank for it.
Yeah, I gotta say, you guys are diabolical. I'm telling you, the synergy between the two of you guys is such, and you have totally different audiences. So I love how you work with each other when, you know, you're interviewing whoever, and you're able to say, okay, so my people probably won't get that. Can you like say that this way, or can you explain a little bit more? And Laura, you're just so good at explaining. And so I think that the collaboration of what you guys are doing has just like, it's bring a cross-pollination to so many more people that wouldn't have gotten exposure to Laura. And now Laura's being, you know, there's a vice versa thing. And that's what's so great about collaboration is we all have like our communities, you know, and sometimes people are so stuck in their mindsets of what they think is real or true or whatever. And if they're willing, you know, if they trust whoever they've been following, you know, for that long, and then you bring in somebody else and you're like, I vouch for this person. I think it's bringing such an expansion for people to be able to go, you know what, I have thought about that, but I got 20 years with this chick. And, you know, so to be honest, a lot of people who had never heard of you guys have totally jumped on board, and they're following you guys like crazy now since the last time I had you. And I had some people kick back and be like, oh my God, what is she doing? Talking about me, and where's she going with this? And there's still some stuff that I even like in the last few weeks since I started talking about you guys coming back, you know, people are like, oh my God, what is she, you know, there she goes again. And also I don't care, because you guys are amazing, and that's where I'm at. And so people can either come along or they can drop off. I've had some drop off, but I've had so many people jump on too. So and yeah, lots and lots of people.
You can't be worried about that. I've had a lot of people drop off my Instagram, people get on, and then I see people that have unfollowed me, followed me, and it's like, I can't please everybody, and I don't set out to do that. It's all about being true to myself, and as long as I'm true to myself, everything else will fall in place. I don't care who I piss off and who I please anymore. I've gotten to the point now where I'm speaking my truth, and I'm being true to me, and guess what? I can sleep at night.
Yeah, and Laurel, I'd love for you to speak into this, but I think as a collective, you know, I do consultations like you do, and as a naturopath and as a spiritual whatever too, consciously, and then I have interviews that I do just like you guys, and I am seeing across the board. I was going to do a video on this today, but I thought, okay, we'll just wait and talk about it. But are you seeing a lot of people who are just like, maybe who have been timid or on the fence or unsure, and they're now at this point where it's like, I am just not taking any more crap anymore. Like, people are getting over it, and they're standing up for themselves. They're following their truth. They're being more authentic. They're voicing their choice. And they're, like David said, not really worried about it anymore. You know, are you seeing that too, Laura?
Yeah, I think everybody's being pushed to the edge. And it's not about all the things they've set up for us as humans to just consume or allow to kind of run us or entertain us even. And there's deeper and bigger priorities and a whole hidden history that we haven't learned about, and many, many layers beneath the outer facade of, you know, governmental structure, and pretty much every structure, every power structure in the world. There's hidden layers behind it that are now being exposed, and everything that's sort of creating what we think is reality is connected to those powers that are not something I want to say are in power. Of course, we are the powers that be. The collective consciousness is the power, but the mind control, the social engineering has created this relationship where that energy is being taken and used to create this falsity. And so I think people are being pushed to the edge. Some are willing to go down those rabbit holes to begin to look at those kind of layers, and others, you know, are just like, you know, kind of freaking out, and it's causing the need to mature really fast. But then there's this whole other side of it, which is going into the opposite direction and not knowing how to work with that anger or frustration, and they're getting really caught in the web of the divide and conquer agendas, and any sort of difference that there might be, you know, needs to become ugly, and it's sort of missing the mark. I know it's so easy to fall into, and we're all doing our best, but they're kind of counting on that, and that's why there's a lot of competing storylines or narratives in order to create, you know, that level of conflict, because that's more important than one of these narratives actually, you know, producing what they are pretending to want to produce, like Black Lives Matter. Is it really about that? You know, so well-intentioned people get caught into it thinking it is about that. Same with people that care about the environment with the climate change stuff, and, you know, or different movements that can stand for something that has been, you know, a minority or been compromised. It's just going to feed on the hopes and dreams of people, and also the fears. So I feel people are being pushed to the edge, and all the things that they were attached to just aren't as important anymore. All these superficials, you know, that used to create, you know, a sense of identity and how we relate to each other. It's just, it doesn't matter anymore. We are actually moving to the next level of getting way deeper. And we need that depth. We need to see through the world of appearances in order to be able to move to the next, you know, level of human advancement, or being able to participate in the outer storyline as a more conscious co-creator of our reality, recognizing the traps. But yeah, some people are really struggling in this, you know, particular growth period, and that's why it intensifies, you know, the conflict. But the worst part of the conflict is very much funded for it to appear that way. And I hate to say that a lot of these events that we're seeing with weather, fire, you know, with the fires that are going on, you know, this is all part of these, you know, greater plans. And we don't have time to sit around worrying about, you know, I mean, the younger generations, I don't think they have time to sit around, you know, trying to follow a trend or like fit in. It's like, oh my gosh, everything's like on the line right now. We better break through. We better get deeper. We better start to care. We better, you know, start to recognize this greater family of, you know, each other, and care about each other on that level, so that we can heal and rehabilitate without the shaming and blaming and all these, you know, tactics that have been taught to us that create more harm than good, because it's in our hands right now to recover ourselves from, you know, being harmful people or people that are in denial, putting our heads in the sand. So it's a massive acceleration of the need to mature. If we can get the maturity piece down, then we can begin to peel away those layers, and everybody's at a different stage. So we have to be very patient with each other.
Yeah, I kind of look at it like intensified miracle grow, where everybody is just like, everyone gets their choice, everyone has free will, and also it's so imperative right now with those choices. I could speak for myself individually, where a decade ago, some of the things that were coming along, I kind of just enabled and or put up with it, and just kind of hoped it would get better, and was just like, whatever. And now it's just like, no, not dealing with that. And like, there's a straight, whether it's relational, work stuff, anything extra energy. I mean, even on social media, if someone starts getting weird and putting stupid comments or, you know, whatever, I used to just be like, well, we're going to let them come along. I'm just not going to do anything, because maybe they'll start to see, or I would try to talk to them and put something, well, what about this? And sometimes I still do, but for the most part, it's just like, no, block. I'm like, I know we got time for this, right?
That's exactly what I do. I eliminate people left and right now. I mean, if someone leaves a rude comment, why waste your time responding or entertaining them? Just block, unfriend, block, unfriend, block, unfriend, block. That's what I do. And at least the ones I catch, you know. But I mean, I kind of leave some people up there for controversy because I like it. I like to see all the other people in fighting. So me, I'm different. I it doesn't bother me as much as it would other people. But if it's, I can tell when it's bots or from the opposition. You know, I've triggered them. Just unfriend, and I don't even know why I'm their friend. I don't even know why they add me. I don't understand why they're even. Do they just add me to troll me? I don't get it. But yeah, I just block, and that's what I do, and I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I did a slew of blocking people for just putting laugh emojis underneath a human trafficking comment or post.
Oh.
I was just like, I don't need you. I mean, I don't want to know you. Your profile's fake. And there was like 10 of them. And I just went through block. It's just like literally, you know, like cleaning the bathroom sink and the toilet. It's just like, oh my gosh, like every day, like trying to just create a clean space because it's so low energy. But I agree. I mean, I don't mind differences of opinion. I like debate. I like healthy debate. I don't mind it. I wouldn't say like it's my favorite thing, but I certainly don't mind it because it creates growth and expansion, and then everybody can work on their communication skills with each other, and it's a great like form of exercise because obviously we're not just physical beings. We have to exercise our mental body and emotional body and spiritual body and integrate it all in order to be healthy people. So I'm similar. I invite, you know, especially, you know, friends that I've known that there's a greater love than our differences and is going to be respectful. You know, I definitely keep those folks. But yeah, there's definitely people. I mean, it's the social media stuff. It's just like all the fake news and false flags. I mean, we get hit on a personal level and it's global and it's communities and groups. And so one has to really watch out for the, you know, groups and communities that are part of those, you know, secret societies or the ones that have blackmailed people to play that part, to be that person. And remember that, you know, hating them is not going to really help. We have to understand that, you know, if we can understand the way the cabal operates and all their tactics and what they do to people, we can actually help them to come to where they probably really want to be, because they're probably crying out for help. They don't really want to work for these monsters. And there's a lot of people that feel, you know, trapped, but if we hate them, they're scared to break free. We need to make it comfortable for them to say, hey, I was blackmailed. Hey, they've threatened me, and create ways to reach out to those people because they're being used and they don't necessarily want to be.
Well, going back to a little bit further what you were talking about earlier about these timelines, and you know, like I said, I follow you guys and watch your shows, and you have had some different, very, very opposite people, not just in personality, but I mean with what could possibly happen type situations. And I don't know if I should name names or whatever. They're both pretty popular, the two ones that I'm thinking of specifically right now, and a couple of just like went way all over with several of our mutual friends during interviews. And they have this whole like everything's a happy ending, oh my god, it's all in the bag kind of deal, almost to the part where there isn't anything that we need to do, but also aliens aren't real and we're in a flat earth, and you probably know who I'm talking about. And then you got the other guy who was just with you guys a little bit earlier, who was just like total opposite, you know, assassinations against Trump and this and that and whatever. Not that he hasn't already had like 24 or 25 of them, because he has. But, you know, you people as individuals, but also with your show, and just compartmentalizing and trying to figure out, like, for me, how do you take all this information and go, okay, so what's really real, you know? And for all the people that follow you, how are we as viewers watching all these different people and trying to figure out, like, well, what's the real outcome, or is it changeable because of Looking Glass and all of that? Like, what are your thoughts on any of that?
You want me to answer that, Laura, the first part? Well, I'll say this. Eat the meat and throw away the bones. I mean, everyone can decipher and decide for themselves what they want to take as real and false, or everyone has their own way. Everyone should be able to critical think for themselves and use, for me personally, I believe we're all in this together, no matter what. We're all making this shift, this spiritual awakening together as a collective species, collective consciousness. We're all making this enormous shift from the old world. We're in the reset right now into the new world. We're not ever going back to the way it used to be. That's just not happening. I'm sorry. It's the way it is. We're moving into a new world, and we're all doing that together. Now, it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. Now, whether there's aliens, whether the earth is sphere, whether the earth is flat, to me, like the show that Laura and I have together, Dark to Light, that's not what's important. What's important is we have different guests that come on there. This is how Laura and I are doing our little contribution, is by shedding light on the dark and exposing and bringing truth, or what people will decide is truth or not, to the surface for people to decide themselves and go from there. We're just bringing the personalities, the whistleblowers, the people that have something to say. We're bringing it to the people to decide for themselves. And then we have a strong community, or a strong network that we do just for our subscribers, for the Dark to Light family. And then that is also, man, those are like therapy sessions, to be honest with you. Everyone works together and everyone's networking and talking in the community chat and speaking with us, asking us questions. So that's our contribution to what's going on in this awakening that's happening right now. Everybody's going to bring a different, present a different platform, a different set of facts, different ideals. People need to decide for themselves. We all have our own minds. God gave us all wonderful, these fascinating minds to just to decide for ourselves what's true, what's false, what resonates with you. That's all that's important. If you want to believe the earth is flat and I believe that it's sphere, that's on you, and I have my truth, you have your truth. But at least we're all making this movement into the same shift. At least we're all going into the same shift. And what Dark to Light brings is a community network of support for this movement. And although we're small right now, we're building, at least it's for people can come to us and join the family. And it's honestly, this is the most exciting thing I've ever been a part of, more so than boxing. Boxing was pure ego. It was pure ego and service to self. And now here I am, service to others. So, eat the meat, throw away the bones, decide for yourself what resonates with you, and go from there. What resonates with you isn't going to resonate with me, and vice versa. So we don't all have to agree on everything, but as long as we're moving into the same shift, as long as we're all going in the same direction, the same trajectory, so that's how I feel about it. There's my 2 cents on that.
Oh, that was awesome. Yes, I don't know if I need to even add that much more, but yeah, it's like going into a grocery store. People are going to just kind of like branch off and go to whatever they know their system, feels nourished by, or maybe what isn't so good for them for whatever reason. We're in a healing process. It's a transformational process. Information is energy, just like food, just like thoughts, just like words. And we need to find a way to appreciate our differences, because oneness is diversity and harmony. Without learning how to harmonize, then we're actually really doing an injustice against ourselves, because we end up staying fragmented. I mean, we might have our dominant personalities and things that we gravitate towards, things that really resonate, but it doesn't mean that the rest of it isn't truth. It's just our truth. It keeps us grounded. It keeps us inspired. It ignites our passions. And so everybody's going to have their own thing, just like with the way we might express art or music or recreational things on a physical level. So, I think information, just like going into a library, not everybody's going to gravitate towards the same thing. I think the most important thing, which I also find with these other aspects of self, is that it's not a lie. It's not a psyops. It's not a false flag. So if those things can be called out and there's enough evidence, then there's part of that responsibility to bring as much light to it as possible. And still, accepting that some might just say that's crazy and conspiracy theory, but to at least maybe open a person's mind up to, you know, see if that becomes real for them, if they're noticing enough to reinforce that. It's like when you first tell a person about weather modification or chemtrails, you know, at first, you know, it's like, it's not going to maybe completely click, but after a while, when they're noticing it for themselves, because the attention has been put on it and you've planted a seed, and they start to, you know, see things jump out on a synchronistic level to, you know, inform the mind about that seed that was planted, so that they can determine, should I look further into it? Do I need to? Is it important? That person has the, you know, ability, you know, to decide. So differences are a beautiful thing, but I think helping one another disseminate what is a attack, what is a falsity against what is truth, you know, is also good. While we don't have the full-on evidence, though, we should absolutely not be fighting about it or arguing about it, because if we're all willing to, you know, get to the bottom of something that is a mystery, then we all need each other to be a part of this greater conversation, to pull together the resources, what we've discovered, who we've talked to, what evidence there might be, with love and respect, mutual respect. But as far as those things that remain a mystery, man, our diversity is what makes us a beautiful species, just like the web of life. I mean, that supports ecosystems, the diversity in nature, and all these different ecosystems that are different, you know, with all the different levels of, you know, the Arctic down to the rainforest. You know, that's what creates a sustainable world to live upon. And we need to respect that as far as the diversity in humans, and just help each other to pull out the harmful pieces. Just like we would want more clean and organic food instead of all these dyes and all these chemicals, you know? And so when we're dealing with medicines, it's the same thing. What is the holistic approach? And when we can get on board with that, the breakthroughs that can happen begin to knock down the walls and build unity consciousness, which to me is the immune system of our humanity. And if we don't expand that, the parasites will continue to feed and find ways to poke holes, so that, you know, we literally become possessed and assimilated into AI. Because we chose to let something else run us when our deeper nature actually knows better. So.
Well, and that's the thing is, you know, I guess because they're so polar opposite on some of these extreme interviews, I'm just like Dave, where I'm like, I'm able to, I mean, I like kind of binged on a few of the guys and was like, okay. And I actually felt like super hopeful about a lot of things. And I was like, wow, I can feel that. I can feel that. And I can see where that could be. And then also, then there was some that was just a little bit like, God, it's almost like too good to be true. And like, if this is like for real, legit, real, like how smart would it be for the other side to have this guy say all that, so everyone sits back and just goes, well, it's already done, it's in the bag, we don't need to do anything, we're just going to let it all roll, and then there's no action involved. So I just, you know, I guess one thing that I would say is, no matter who you're listening to or what you're watching, you know, whether you're believing some and throwing it out or believing it all or whatever, there's still a part of it that includes us as individuals to take part of literally going to vote, or literally saying no, or maybe not wearing the mask, or doing all the things that we know that we can do in our own personal choices that are going to contribute to the collective energy power of living that authenticity and like being authentic in that truth of seeing the tipping point happen. Because if we all just sit back, you know, as much as I would love like the reset to be the 17th and JFK to be alive and come back and jump out and go, ta-da, it was all me, or whatever, you know, it's like, that would be freaking amazing. I would like jump up and down and have like the biggest party of my life. And I think a bunch of people would too, be like, oh my God, how smart that Trump really went all around the world and met with everybody and they got all this dirt on him and it's over and he's the king of the world, you know. And, you know, as whether you like him or not, I'm just saying. And, but there is also the responsibility, being responsible as individuals to also keep on talking, keep on sharing truth, keep on being honest, keep on making choices that are every step of the way being deliberate in the end goal of what we're trying to do as a collective for the country to actually have peace and for people to see and be able to communicate and have the life that we're all hoping to have in the end, right?
Well, I'll say this. I don't believe in complacency at all. So anytime someone's preaching on how Trump's got this handled, I think I know who you're talking about. I've had a few, I think I know who you're talking about. When they start speaking on that, listen, we still need to go out and vote. Okay. It's just the way it is. We have to get out and vote. I don't care if they say Trump has it in a bag and, he's taking down the royal family and the Vatican. Hey, I don't know that for sure. So I'm going to do my part. So I feel good about my part when I go to the voting booth and put my vote in, to know that I at least did for my country what I'm supposed to do. I'm not going to just take someone's word and be like, oh, really? Okay, well, yeah, I'm not going to do nothing else anymore. I'm done. It's over. Yeah, he's already won, everybody. It's not like that with me. I see that. I listen to that, and I go, wow, I hope that's true. I really hope he took down the royal family. I hope King John III is going to be the king, and I got to interview him and talk to him. That'd be cool. I really hope he took down the Vatican and all the pedophiles involved. That's amazing. I do know this. I mean, that's all great and wonderful, and unicorns and rainbows. That's awesome. Okay, if that's happening, then that's amazing. If not, I do at least know a little tidbit from very good sources that he is actively taking down pedophilia rings, and I think people can see that for themselves now. When I came out of that video months back, I talked about it. People were like, what is he talking about? Adrenochrome? What is all this stuff? And I think now people know. I mean, that Pandora's box has been opened, and at least that is out there. And now we could do something about it, even if it's not true, although it is true. Even if it's not true that he's not taking down the pedophile rings, at least it's opened up that Pandora's box. So now people know about it. People know, like, I better protect my kids. Pedophiles run the world. So now that is out there, that's huge. That's enormous, because we can do something about it. But I do know with the sources that I have that, yes, he is taking down the pedophile rings. He is blowing up tunnels, and it's the infrastructure of all this. So, yeah, there's stages in this, and you got one shot. Like they always say, we got one shot to do this correctly. One shot, that's it. We don't have two shots. We have one shot to take them all down, and we have to do this right. So they're playing a masterful game of chess. Now, when someone tells me he's taking down the royal family, he's taking down the Vatican, blah, 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 the cats, we already won. I'm still going to go vote and do my part as an American, because that's who we are. We're Americans, and we can vote on the president. I don't take anyone's word as gospel. I'm going to go and cast my vote.
Awesome. Yeah, this election is very different for me than any other, where I didn't want to make any agreement or any statement in the form of voting. And sometimes it just didn't work out that I could make it to voting because I was too busy taking care of babies and stuff. But this one is just like completely different. I mean, when we look into the past, it was just, I don't know. And I'm not one to ever promote, non-voting. So it was sort of like, weird. But I do feel like we have to claim our personal sovereignty just in case that leader lets you down, that you're not overly contracted with them. So this election to me is, incredibly different, because we've seen both sides, be owned. Both sides are owned. Both sides of war are owned. And that manipulation of this side plays against this side, and good cop, bad cop, and the conquer and divide between the right and left. This is now about good versus evil, freedom versus tyranny. This is a completely different thing right now. And I absolutely agree. Nobody can ever cause me to be complacent or just figure, oh, it's all taken care of, because I know that it's up to each and every one of us to stand up and step up to the plate. That is where the victory lies, not putting it on, somebody outside of us. So it's not just going to be, a vote. It's also doing things like interviews, doing whatever a person can to create resources for victims. And I mean, so many people are waking up to their missions, and there's so many different facets to it all. And it's huge. So I just recently interviewed somebody that was almost trafficked. When I first met her, I thought that she had been trafficked, but she was almost trafficked, and she was right up against it. She grew up with Trump, went to the same church as him. And had a really good feeling about him, but that's never enough because pedophiles are hiding in, you know, plain sight all the time. They seem like the most upstanding citizens. So sometimes when I do interviews, I have to act like a person that, you know, would say, hey, I've got this question or that question, because I'm not convinced, just to, you know, just make sure it's better developed. But man, she was in the modeling agency. She's only 21 years old now, and went to a particular event, and a recruiter came in and wanted her to sign a contract, and a person that actually did sign the contract and got involved with this person ended up on Epstein Island and found out that, you know, Clinton, Biden, and Obama were very much involved and a part of these rings. People like you and I all know this, right? But to have somebody, you know, the evidence is too strong, but to have somebody, you know, be able to say that, you know, who's coming from a place of, you know, breaking through it. I mean, this is just one of many. Anybody can Google search this, or well, whatever about Google. Anybody could go on YouTube and you're going to find a bunch of stories. Question is, are they credible stories? And that's got to be so hard for victims because there's never enough proof. It doesn't matter if you have proof about the terrible things Trump has done because it supports your hatred of him. So it doesn't matter if there's any proof behind all these allegations and all this hatred, but God forbid you say something good. Oh, where's the proof? And it's like, it's such a nasty arena to try and work in that we all are.
Laura, wouldn't you say that people basically are under a spell?
They are under a spell.
I think it's a mainstream media spell. They're following the narrative. They're going full-fledged with the agenda, and it's a spell. It's like when you go and see a hypnotist put people under hypnosis. These people are under massive hypnosis.
Absolutely.
Well, but and to on the science level, you guys know I'm a geek, but all of this, everything that's infiltrated into the brain, whether any kind of media, it all comes in through beta. It's all beta. And so that's that fight or flight. That's where, you know, if you get in fear, you're way more programmed. And so they keep you in the beta. So your body is like always waiting for the shoe to drop or being on edge. And that's where you can be most programmable.
I just wanted to say one thing just to wrap that up though. So once she escaped all of that, she called a hotline number. Nobody was willing to help her because she grew up going to the same church as Trump and he was president and she knew people that knew him. He funded her healing, her therapy and everything. And she validated that there are definitely projects and programs that are taking down these rings. And a lot of articles have been shared lately. So I just wanted to finish with that because, you know, that's the huge part. Nobody else would help her except for the actual Trump administration that took it seriously. And that most of these allegations against him, because she grew up witnessing how people wanted to go after his money and we're kind of watching what is the weak spot here, you know? Oh, and if this side is calling out pedophilia, well, that's a perfect thing to target him as being. And it's absolutely, it's not just a trance, it's also people that are from these families that have been trauma-based mind control to play this role in these end times, to be, you know, these people. Most of the people that we see rioting and looting have been called upon and trained by, you know, this particular side that's funded by the dark side. So I just had to add that extra bit, but we know this, so I hope it's not redundant.
Let me just elaborate on that for a quick second. But the gaslighting that is coming from, and it's complete gaslighting, that's coming from the left right now, the radical left, that, you know, the victim mentality, the Trump derangement, whatever Epstein or whatever Clinton did, well, Trump did it too. Well, whatever Hillary has done, well, Trump has done it too. Whatever, you know, any of these personalities that were on the flight log, well, Trump really went. Trump. I'm like, do you understand that he's spearheading this mission to take down these people? Do you not understand that? Why? Do you not comprehend this? Do you not understand? No, Trump was also a child molester. He's a pedophile. And there's all these Photoshop pictures or even just photos with him with Jeffrey Epstein. And you got to understand, when you're a person of that magnitude, like Trump, a businessman, you're friends, you're around everybody. That's me being a boxer. I was around Don King. I was around Bob Arum. I was around Mike Tyson. That doesn't mean I was like them. I took pictures with them, but I'm not a crooked promoter screwing everybody out of their money. I was a fighter. You know, you're going to naturally rub shoulders with everybody when you're a high and prestigious type of businessman like Trump. You're going to. It's just the way it is. You are around other successful, very powerful people. And that gives him, to me, more qualification to be in the job that he's in right now. So, you know, thank God that we have this man as president. And the only reason we're in this fight right now, the only reason we're in this fight, and the only reason things are being exposed is because that man is the only thing between them and us is that man. So just
yeah, I can say that 2007 I actually had a dream about him being the president.
Wow.
And I posted it, and I was just like, how bizarre is that? This guy is like, I don't even know if he was even on the show where they fire people yet. And I didn't know anything about him. I'd had a lot of premonition type dreams like since I was a kid. And one of the things that happened in the dream is I was told to start praying for him because he would be our president.
Wow.
And whether I liked him or not, I was like, okay. And I blogged about it. I posted it. You guys can go back and see all of that. I posted it several times, I think about 16, 70 times now with the date of the first time that went out, saying, just in case you don't know why I'm doing this, this goes back to here, and you can see the publication. And one of the things right before the election, I actually had another dream where he came to the end of my bed and he took my hand, and it's a long thing, but basically he looked up and he said, I don't know who he was talking to, I guess God in the air, you know, I know God's in here, but he looked up with passion and was saying, help me make America great again. Help me make America great again. And he was like yelling it. And I remember looking at him. First, he's a massive and tall being. And I was just looking up at him. And my thought was, no one would believe this. Like, no one would believe that tears streaming down his face. No one would believe that this man is legit passionate about it. And I posted that and I explained that. That was in 2011, I believe. And then it wasn't long after that, actually, I was contacted by some people from his administration, and they were talking about how he was, actually fast forward, that was in 2015 or 16. And they contacted me to meet with him in Florida and to tell him some of these things that were happening and what I was seeing and what these dreams were. And I was going to be in New Zealand for a conference that I had scheduled. And mind you, he wasn't running for president. He was just a guy. And I'm just thinking, okay, can we do this another time? Because I'm going to be in a different country, thinking I'll just do this later. And then next thing you know, it was announced that he was running for president. And then a few weeks later, it was the slogan, Make America Great Again. I was like floored at my own stuff, like floored, going, holy crap. Like, and then I was like, so one of the things they did ask me is, can you type up every little single thing that you know and that you've heard or whatever? And I mailed it to these people, and I actually got a letter from them saying, thank you so much, and we would like to meet with you sometime. And I always thought that I would. I really still think that I might. At the same time, whether people were upset about me and still are at times, going, we don't understand how you could follow such a liar, and he's so mean, and he says all these things. It's like, I don't give a care what you, when you have a mandate and you feel commissioned to do something, it's just there, and people don't have to like it and whatever. And all, and plus he's still a guy, he's still a man. I cannot take away the passion that I feel. I cannot take what happened to me to make that real for me. I cannot take the feeling that I had as he stood before me and said all those things. And it's how do you undo that? Like, I can't. And so, I don't know. Sometimes I get discouraged when people say some of the things they do or write some of the things, or I hear some of these things about the masks or the vaccination or the weather. My God, we just had 2 freaking hurricanes just in Louisiana. Like, we haven't had enough. Tree on my house, tornado through our house, like just in the last, since December, and we're still dealing with it. We got to completely rebuild our house that was completely demoed. And, it's just like, we know that this isn't real, and we know that this is, engineered, and the stuff that's going on in California. My daughter is in Seattle where all of this stuff is going on, or she's here now. She just came home tonight, but all of the rioting and stuff. And how do you figure out that this is rioting versus peaceful protesting? And like you said, the gaslighting, oh no, it's really peaceful. No, so I get frustrated and then you hear about someone that has not believed you the entire time and they've switched. And you're like, oh my God, at least one person that thought I was crazy a decade ago, maybe they're starting. Are you guys starting to see people like coming around at all? Like, please tell me that you're seeing people come around.
Well, Laura, you want me to answer that real quick, or you want to answer it?
I'll go after you. Go for it.
Okay, I'll be quick. I'm getting tons of people contacting me that my videos have changed their minds and helped out with their liberal friends. In fact, Laura and I on our Dark to Light show had somebody on our subscriber show. Remember that, Laura, last night? The girl that was like hiding in her closet or something, talking to us on her laptop, talking about how she was a liberal and how she switched over and basically lost all her friends. And she was sitting there like, it looked like, honestly, I was actually really worried for her because she looked like she was in a very panicked situation, and she was hiding like in her closet, talking to us on her laptop, and it didn't seem like very comfortable. It looked really traumatic, but I don't know. I'm just assuming on that, but she was talking about how she lost friends that won't talk to her anymore because now she's like, you know what? I started doing my own investigations and research, and she goes, I'm sorry. She goes, I used to hate Trump, and now she goes, I'm on board with him, and now I've lost all my friends, or one of her great friends or best friends walked away from her. So these people have zero tolerance. They have zero tolerance. At least we welcome them with open arms. And although I don't understand their way of thinking, I know they're under this spell. That's why I tolerate it, because I know they're under a spell, and it's breaking. And it's a demonic spell, in my opinion. That's just where I'm going to go with it. It's a demonic spell. And I think it's breaking, and it's sad to see them losing their friends. But yeah, Laura and I just encountered this on our show last night.
I think Laura gets it more. I mean, I'm in the South and you know, and lived in Montana, so it's like guns and country and, you know, somewhat whatever. But you know, just watching your Facebook page, Laura, you know, it seems like you have a lot more people coming from the spiritual side who are used to whatever, and they're like questioning you, and like Magenta and some of these others who are like, why? And they want you to explain. And I do too, I get it too. But it seems to be shifting a little bit more. Are you seeing anything at all, Laura?
Well, I'm surprised the area that I'm in. I mean, I go down to where there's some, you know, boats that we have, and they're all Trump supporters, and they all follow my work. And I'm just like, what? And they don't want to make me uncomfortable, you know, like, is that Laura Eisenhower? Like, so many people like spot me. They're like, oh my gosh. And they're like freaking out. And I'm like, you know, like totally not socially acceptable. I'm just sitting in the car like, oh shit, I'm not ever going to get used to this. That actually people are recognizing me. And that's really beside the point. It's just the reason they do is because it's all a part of that greater truth that they have bought into, that they've bought into, not as in like an exchange, as in like sell your soul, bought into, you know what I mean? They've become invested in it because it resonates with who they are. And so when they see all the people, you know, connected, and they know you too, David, when they see all the people connected to their support of, you know, Trump, they see all the people out there that have helped them to wake up. And it's crazy to be one of those people in this area. And I wouldn't say that everybody's going to feel that way. It might just be a synchronicity. But what I think this is where a lot of people get stuck, because it's not just about Trump. It's like basically saying, are you going to grab a fireman that's about to put out a fire and give him a character analysis and judge him for every single thing under the sun, what he eats, what he wears, how he's talked to women, every quote under the sun?
That's the best I've ever heard right there, what she just said. That nailed it.
Oh my God.
You know, it's like somebody, it's like, oh, here are all the terrible quotes and all the really crappy things you've ever said. Like, that person's a freaking saint. It's just like, will you get out of his way? Let him do what he's going to do. You know, we're all recovering from being in this human realm where a lot of the character flaws or whatever have been very, you know, actually encouraged. And we all are, you know, we're a traumatized species, and we're trying to heal here, you know. And if he's on a path of redemption, I mean, can't we just embrace this? Because if not, then we're not going to embrace it within ourselves. Literally, we're becoming toxic beings, because how can we allow our own healing and self-forgiveness if we're going to just throw stones at him when he is literally going into the fire, you know?
Sharnael, I would definitely take that snidbit she just said right there and blast that all over social media, because that was the best I've ever heard it explained, really, for Trump. Like, yeah.
Well, and that's why Laura's running for president in 2024, and I am going to campaign for her, and I'm legit serious. Like,
I
really
don't know about all that. It was more like I would do it, but am I going to do it? I mean, I love doing what we're doing, you know, all of us. And there will be, you know, we're all voting for each other. We're all in this together, and it's just like, you know, you guys blow me away. But I'm glad, yeah, that I mean, because that's how I see it. It's just like, seriously, they just can't quite grasp all these, you know, hidden layers. They don't quite get it. And yes, gotta stay compassionate and patient.
So on another note, besides the fact that you are going to run for president and I'm going to campaign for you, but besides that, just kidding. Let's talk about the censorship. Because I want to touch just on that, and then the whole vaccination issue a bit. Like, where I have been censored. I know you guys have been censored. I've been in Facebook jail as a naturopath, telling the truth over and over and over again. People have lost licenses, have quit their jobs because they're sick of lying. You know, this COVID thing, that's really not a COVID thing, that they're making a COVID thing. The multiple testings, the fraudulent testings, the fake testings that people never even got a test to or tested positive. You know, now the kids are in school, and the mask wearing. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And one thing I will say is we have a mandate that's unconstitutional in Louisiana, and several across the United States that are also mandated, but also unconstitutional. And, you know, I'll post something about not wearing it or whatever. And I'm so shocked when people put in the comments, they'll say things like, oh, that's great for you, but we actually have a mandate here in the States, the state that I'm in. And it's almost like they think that I don't have that same mandate. So I'll come back and go, no, guess what? I have the same mandate and the same signs on every store. As a matter of fact, in Florida, I live part-time in a couple places. And when I go to Florida very, very often for work, there's no mandate. And yet most of the box stores will make you wear them, or they say they will. But really, if you walk in and go, they usually go, would you like a mask, ma'am? And I go, no, thank you. And I keep walking. And so, you know, anyway, how the censorship, I'm sure you guys are seeing it too. Do you think Facebook's just going to go away, or what's going to happen, or what do we need to do about that as far as platforms? But also, even with the CDC coming back now and saying like only 6% and only 9,000, and literally like no kids have ever tested almost in the entire United States under 13 unless they were extremely sick. I think there's like 9 or something. But yeah, I mean, what do we do? I mean, again, there's still people afraid. Like legit, I've gone to insurance companies, veterinarians, you know, every single store. I've only worn a mask 2 times, and that's because I had a court situation or whatever. But people are just like, today I went to the thing and they were like, oh my God, you don't have a mask. I'm like, you know what? I'll just not come in here. It's cool. Like I'll go somewhere else, but I'm not going to do it. So talk to me a little bit about censorship and the mask thing, the COVID thing. Where are you guys at on that?
Well, you know, I'll say this. The censorship is real, and it's happening all over Instagram, Facebook, all the social media platforms. They're just knocking off anybody who's a patriot, conservative, talks about QAnon. They're using that now as an excuse to just deplatform people left and right. I've seen a lot of big personalities be deplatformed and taken off of Instagram. I've had 4 people reach out to me on their backup accounts saying, hey, I got deplatformed. Can you help me get the message out? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow. So they are going full throttle, and they are deploying all the assets. They're definitely taking out everybody that has a voice for Trump or believes in the Q movement or anything like that. But yet it's okay for Antifa and BLM to go run amok and riot and loot because that's justified. I mean, these people are sick. And the mask wearing, It's unconstitutional. You don't have to follow it. I do not follow it. I go into places, and I know I'm a big guy, and I know that people look at me like, oh, I'm not going to screw with this fucking guy. He's probably crazy. And I know, especially in my hometown, I'm known as, people come, hey, champ, can you put on a mask? No, I can't. And they say, okay. And they just walk away. I don't even give them a reason. There's been times where people have asked me, hey, you got to wear a mask. And I'll say, no, I don't. And they're like, excuse me. I'm like, it's no. It's not a law. It's unconstitutional, goes against my rights, my human rights, and I'm medically exempt. It got so far to the point that I carry a little card now from hackingtheheadlines.com. Anybody can go on there on hackingtheheadlines.com and get a medically exempt card, because for some reason, when you show it to people, it qualifies you. It's amazing. It's like, I can say it, and they have a hard time believing it, but as soon as I show them that little stupid card that I got off the internet, oh my God, I'm legit. So go to hackingtheheadlines.com and get a medically exempt card. It'll work wonders for you, because when you show it to somebody, it makes you 100% legit. It's unbelievable. So, try that out. But I'll be honest with you, like, you don't need to explain anything. You just say, no, I don't. You really should just be able to say, no, I don't want to. I like my oxygen. That should be all you have to say. It's not, okay, that's it. That's all you got to say. But if they bug you more, say, I'm medically exempt. And if you really feel like you don't like people harassing you, then show them the friggin' card. Okay? There you go. That's it. You don't have to abide by this crap. Nobody does. And I've noticed that more and more people actually are not wearing the mask. And they're not giving me any shit anymore when I'm walking around not wearing the mask. They're just kind of like, oh, well, there's David. That's the guy that, he doesn't wear a mask. Like I said, I understand I'm a big guy. I'm a fighter. But I'm seeing more and more people not wearing them, especially in their car. Thank God. I'm seeing people driving without the mask on. So that's good.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, the whole censorship thing, the symbology of it is to mask us. I mean, right now, everything is about truth and exposure of information and taking down the deep state. I mean, the reason this administration is so different than any other, and why some people are like, oh, all this stuff happened under his watch, and all this Trump blame, is because the reason it might have seemed calmer in other administrations is because they were dealing with international wars, and they were actually covering up the most heinous crimes. So actually all of it was going on. Nobody knew it. So the exposure of all this stuff is what creates all this. People are like, oh, well, there's more division than ever before, and that's Trump's fault. It's like, no, it's called like literally like a detox. And it's such a powerful purging of energy that looks really chaotic, but it's absolutely, what's necessary. So when we look at it on a day-to-day level, as far as censorship or being masked, I go into like a place of like, almost like lunacy about it, because it's just like, you got to be freaking kidding me. It's the statement of saying, I am breathing in the breath of life, the organic ascension signals, instead of the AI signals, instead of fear, because we're at a time where we're like ready to advance as a human race, not to become super small and fearful of a virus. I mean, it's like the common sense is like really lacking, because as we step into a more advanced embodiment as humans, things like viruses and even dark weaponry that is behind these agendas begin to break down. So if they can grab our fear, if they can cause us fear of death, we can't go through a transformation, because death and rebirth and alchemy and transformation are all a part of the same process. So if they can cause fear of death and mask us and shut down our ability to speak and share these important truths, my feeling is you just created a tsunami. Like, it's going to get even louder, because you can't silence some of us. And for other people, they're going to get more, they're going to get more dragged and drawn into it and defend the darkest of agendas without realizing it, because they've never had a chance to process through, what it truly means to be an awakened spiritual being, what it truly means to shift in these times and begin to be more authentic and more connected with the truth of who you really are. These people aren't curious enough. They're very engineered by their televisions and the news, of course. That's social engineering. These psychological operations are nothing new, and it's literally groomed a huge portion of the human race to be very hospitable to the darkest of technologies and archons and entities. And they look at it as, oh, I'm doing the right thing as a citizen. So a huge other portion of everybody else is like, they have trust, they have faith. They're really, truly connected to God's source, 0-point unified field, whatever you want to call it. And they're not saying no because of some act of rebellion. They're saying no because they actually really feel into what these times are about. And they're not going to, that commitment and devotion is an unbreakable bond. And anybody who tries to take that away, that is an abuser. And that to me is a form of rape. So I don't think so. So I can't really go out because I'm an embarrassment. Like, 'cause I get so bent out of shape with people, not people that are complying, but just the ones that might give me a hard time. But then I'm, you know, I have a sense of humor and I can let it go. But I don't know, there's something about all this that, you know, it needs to kind of be poked fun at. And that's why t-shirts and, you know, putting it on my head instead of my face, or, you know, wearing a Halloween mask instead, or just like, because I've always wanted to have like one of those shows where, you know, it's like, how can we just like screw around and wake people up through humor, and where they're like, what was that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It goes back to that hive mind situation where, you know, they're in that trance-like spell, like saying it's a vibration, it's a frequency through the beta wave, and they're like into some sort of weird agreement with it. You know, and with the censorship thing, like I said, I've been in jail, I don't know how many times, shadow banned, and also that whole fact checker thing. I mean, you could be like straight up telling the truth, and I shared my own personal story, and they're like, we fact checked you, and I'm like, how are you fact checking me of what my experience was in my video of what happened to me with my clients or my patients or
100%.
whatever? It's ridiculous. It's now I just
communism.
saw, and you probably saw this too, they're actually paying people to not be on Facebook to do this like deal all the way past the election. Have you guys seen that?
Right. Yeah. And here's the thing though too, but about what Laura said earlier, I just want to just give a little tidbit to that. It is a symbol. Isn't it funny that we're in this great awakening right now, and the powers that be, which are in the spiritual dimension, in the spiritual realms, are realizing themselves in this third dimension, and it is symbolic. This mask wearing of submissiveness, right? It's submissiveness. It is completely symbolic of the holding back our ascension into this great awakening. It's symbolic to holding us back into this denser level. It's the desperate move of our evolutionary climb into this consciousness. You know, so to me, it's completely symbolic of submissiveness, and it is and that's really how you have to look about it. That's how Laura said it earlier, and that's so true. It's a completely symbolic hold or stop or holding us back into our ascension during this time of the Great Awakening. So we're so much a threat to these forces that be, that they are delivering this in the third dimensional realm of this submissive mask wearing to stop our ascension and let it be known. And it's all they're doing is tightening and tightening the grip until we bust out of this. And a lot of us are already awake. Me, myself, I'm awake. You're awake. Laura's awake. We see it for what it is. But how many people do not see it? How many people are not getting it? They don't understand. They can't see it in plain sight in front of them. And so isn't that funny that we're in the Great Awakening right now, and that is when they're covering us. They're covering our faces with this face diaper. You know,
it's total digression. It's literally turning people in a reversal.
It's
where
amazing.
Fear of life, fear of breath, fear of, you know, I mean, there's possibilities for death around every corner. And if they emphasize any particular moment that we could all die and amplify it and put it out on the news, something that's inevitable is all of a sudden something that like literally rules your life. I mean, it could be a car accident you might have because of you know, what you might be wearing that day. I mean, like, or something you ate that you could choke on. Like, I mean, the amplification of fear infects our creative channels and causes us to stay stuck in a feedback loop where literally we're generating the very reality that we want to actually feel safe from. And they don't realize how much that they're empowering the actual disease and causing the disease that requires power and energy to even exist. Just like parasites. Parasites wouldn't exist unless they had a host. Viruses are different. You know, they are a response to toxicity. So that has a lot to do with 5G. But the people that are going to be most vulnerable are the ones that are buying the bait of the programming. Because if it was enough to control the human race, they wouldn't need to program people through the media, through Hollywood, through all these different power structures. They need you to, like a mouse, bite the cheese so that the track can go down on your head. If you've deprogrammed yourself or you're an awakened being, you're already in a different level of awareness, and your consciousness is going to be able to neutralize and alchemize all these assaults. And that's what's scary, because these people that refuse to awaken are in a feedback loop that literally does validate the fact that that timeline does exist. But if you don't understand the architects behind it, then you're going to be voting them into office and you're going to think that they're the heroes. They did that with 9/11 and pretty much every false flag since this one.
Yeah, and the thing is on the science level, because I'm a geek and I keep going back to that, is the biofield that we're in is called bio because it's dual. It both radiates out and it magnifies in. And the heart is the biggest magnet of all. So if they can tap into our feelings and the whole beta wave and get us in fear will create, let's say fear is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the code of the biofield. You start collecting more fearful things, and like it becomes a self-prophecy. Self-fulfilled prophecy of the things that you fear about start happening to you because you are the one creating it. Just like Laura said, they use us and our abilities to co-create to actually create the thing that they want to. So they don't even have to do anything. All they got to do is put a commercial 5 minutes after they barely mentioned that there was a COVID thing. And did you notice, like, billboards, every commercial, even TV shows, all the Big Brother stuff, anything reality.
The money they're pouring
like
into this,
away, and they're all wearing a mask. It's like, you don't think that someone had to prepare for that and get all those commercials and everything looped up all ready to go? Like, no one thought that through, going, how did all of a sudden everything and everybody, every billboard, even the Amber Alert signs or the traffic signs that used to weigh like, hey, don't go on I-10 or whatever. Now it's all mask up. And it's like, dude, for real?
When I was listening to Sirius XM, my favorite channel, Lithium, they're like, don't forget, hey guys, just, you know, the DJ, I forgot his name, whatever. He said, and it's just amazing how they got everybody under the spell, or they're being told they have to say this on the airwaves. Hey man, just mask up. Just wear the darn mask, guys. Just wear the darn mask. That's how he was saying it. Just, you know, you don't fall into this probably. Just wear the darn mask. Just wear the darn mask. And I was listening to this. I'm like, well, it looks like I'm not listening to this anymore. See you later. Bye. And I changed the channel. It's like, I can't deal with this anymore. This insanity. There was one guy on the internet, like, wearing his mask, and he was marching down the road and talk with his wife and kid and push him in a stroller. And he was like, you know, be a hero, be a leader, wear a mask, wear a friggin' mask. You know, and I'm just listening to this guy like looking at that person like, you're the problem. You're the disease to this country right now. And you have the balls to say, be a hero, be a leader, wear a mask. Are you kidding me right now? I can't believe we're here in this time in America where people are wearing these face diapers and, oh, be a leader, wear it. Be a leader? Wear it? Are you kidding me?
And my question too is like, where's the logic? Because as a naturopath and a teacher, you know, sunshine, vitamin C, vitamin D, you know, get off of sugar for a little bit.
They won't talk about that. They won't talk about that. Well, you got to wear the face diaper.
Yeah, build the immunity. And do you know how many FaceTimes and videos and it's all been taken down? I mean, I'm not even talking about the C word or masking or anything, just straight teaching people how to take care of their body on a wellness level, on a synergy level, on a chemistry level, you know, get in the dirt, be grounded, be in the sunshine, drink lots of water, exercise, get off of sugar. And they're removing my videos. It's like, seriously? Like,
you know what I do? I take and I've told people about this. I take vitamin C, vitamin D shots. I inject them. Now I know a lot of people don't want to inject needles in their butt, but I do it, and I inject once a week a big vitamin shot of C, a big vitamin shot of D and B12, and that's been, man, it's been amazing. I mean, I feel strong, I feel good, and everyone should be doing that. You know what I mean? That's the best prevention there is.
Yeah. Well, it's changing our lifestyles to be healthy bio-terrain towards awakening, ascension, harmony, and peace and well-being. I mean, regardless of whether it's substances or television or shop, I mean, we need to break the addiction matrix within ourselves. Whatever it is, whatever our weak spot is, we all got them. And when we can begin to, shift into, how to disconnect from those things that kind of own a piece of us and choose in those moments of wanting to do something destructive, something actually healthy and good, that's how on a practical everyday level we can begin to step into these ascension energies and begin to upgrade. So yeah, I mean, I've got like almost like an apothecary, like for a bathroom. It's just like all these herbs, all these supplements that I've collected over the course of time. And then some I'm like, man, I don't even need 100 of these because this is the one right here. But yeah, man, I wanted to be an herbalist, and I've learned so much about, natural medicines and energy healing and just things, medical astrology. It's just like, it's all here, all these opportunities we have to really, understand what it means to heal, because of course healing is tough when there's unconscious trauma, when there's, coping mechanisms because of that. I mean, and that's what I hate when people look down at others. Like, I mean, I might've had a few off years since I've been a public person that might've been obvious, when I wasn't completely sober, that it's, I never claimed to be a guru. I never claimed to be perfect. It's like, I got my stuff when I'm going through stuff. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, I mean, in every moment that we choose something good for ourselves, in the moment that we would rather, be in escapism mode or addiction mode, I think is the stepping stones towards an incredible, transformation, and also not be so hard on ourselves, if we don't do it perfectly.
Yeah, and I know we've all had our version. I know David's gone through his stuff, and I've gone through my stuff, and thank God we are all coming out.
That's why I brought it up, because I know you guys get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we all, thank God, we're just real people who are authentic. And I think sometimes people think like, oh, you guys are so whatever, and nothing ever bad happens to you. And it's like, no, guess what? We have.
It's kind of the opposite. Okay.
Yeah. It's totally, I love that you guys are so down to earth, and it should not be a conspiracy theory to have a good immune system, and to have, it's not a secret, and it's not a conspiracy to have some building blocks in our body and actually make some good choices. And I don't separate the spiritual and the addiction thing and the natural things and the physical, to me, it's just, they're also interconnected. That all of anything good in all of those ways, making new choices, like I said, of even like whether it's relational, and saying, no, I'm not going to be around you anymore, or, just making those choices too, of being authentic and all in that way too, of like, just, nope, that's not good for me. And this person isn't good for me, or this situation isn't good for me, or this job isn't good for me. And that's one thing I remember when I first met you, Laura, in Dallas, and you were going on and on about the just being authentic. And for me, my whole passion is living true. And it's not about like, does my hair look okay, or does the shirt look okay, or my butt look too big in these jeans. It's just like living true in every aspect of every single thing you're thinking about, talking about, eating, hanging out with, what your job is, who you're married to, how you raise your kids, what car you're driving, where you live in location. Like, there's a synergy and a frequency to authenticity in each and every of those choices. And when you are in it, in that pocket of living true, you have all the chemistry and all the immunity to follow that. So that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Really good words.
So yeah. we are like, we got to wrap up. And this
Okay.
has been freaking
Yeah, I got to do a
amazing.
live right now. I got a live going on in 20 minutes.
Okay, so
Ooh.
any last words? Tell me what you guys are doing. Plug your book, plug your guys' show.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Here's my book, When the Lights Go Out. And it's been really doing well. Has a lot of good 5-star, I think it's 99% 5-star ratings, but I'm really proud of it. And also, please join our Patreon with myself and Laura Eisenhower, the Dark to Light Show. It's a awesome community, and it's a family, and we welcome everybody. We're every Wednesday we have either a show to the general public, and then every other Wednesday it's for our subscribers, where we take questions and they can chat in our live chat room, and everyone just networks together, and we've become this enormous community, and it's awesome. It's the most proud thing I've done. And I used to think boxing was my purpose and my life calling, but gee, that changed. So here I am doing this with Laura Eisenhower. It's awesome. So go ahead, Laura.
Oh man, that's so awesome. Yeah, it's really great. I hope you guys will jump on board. And it's less than $1 a day, really. I mean, and it just helps us to be able to provide the platform and pull the resources together. And, that's, super great. And yeah, so the book is in collaboration with like 18 other people, and it just came out, and you can check it out on my social media, Evolutionary Healers. And I'm grateful to be a part of the project, because I have like a bunch of other books waiting in the wings. So it's, maybe a good warm up for people to get to know me a little bit. And yeah, my website's cosmicgaia.org, and really appreciate just being here with you guys. And yeah, in the crazy times that we're in, it means so much to be able to create what we've created, David, and to, get to know you more and be on a show like this. I just really felt such a great flow of energy with you guys, and it's so uplifting. And, this is what it takes, because the mind control and the way it affects people's creativity to enable the things they don't want, this is how we counteract that. It has to be counteracted, and amplifying our voices, coming together and reminding ourselves constantly by speaking words that represent our truth, is a way to keep our creative channels, holding the override frequency of these false timelines, so that we can crush them.
Dude, awesome. Awesome. So please, you guys, we're going to wrap up, and definitely follow all of them. I'm going to put all of their links to their websites, their show, their YouTube, their individual Twitter. They're all over the place, so you guys find them. Also, my website is swiftfire.org. You can find some of my books there. I have a couple here. The Science of Miracles might be interesting. I have a book on keto, living a sugar-free lifestyle. And then I sent this to you, Laura. I just didn't want to.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Amazing what you've put out there. Yeah.
It's like an 80-card deck. It teaches about essential oils, crystals, and frequency, with all of that, and how they collaborate together, which ones work together and why, how they work with your body, your spirit, all of that. But 80-card deck, nothing like that out there. You can get all of those things on swiftfire.org. And then, of course, we got YouTube, Instagram, and all that too. But I hope to have you guys back in a bit. And meanwhile, just huge good vibes and prayers to every little project that you're working on, because what you're doing matters so much. You are really helping so many people. I send all my people to you guys. I'm so inspired by everything you guys do and say, and you help me so much on an individual basis, just to keep doing what I'm doing and keep afloat with my people in my neck of the woods. And thank you guys so much for being with me tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yes, our pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Soon. All right. Bye-bye.